Good afternoon. My name is Ruth Shelley, president of your Rotary Club for another hour. It is a pleasure to see you all today. And as you know, this year's theme for Rotary International is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Throughout the year, we've heard about solutions for today's challenges: healing from the pandemic, recovery from the economic downturn, and peace building as we seek racial justice. As I think back to my first meeting in July of 2020, what a remarkable journey it's been. And now, please welcome Susan Cooksey for today's reflection. Susan?
Hi there. First, I want to thank Ruth for her cheerful greeting every Tuesday. I frequently said, I want some of what she's on. While being sequestered at home for over a year in an effort to thwart the spread of COVID-19 virus, I've had a lot of time to pause and think about my values and where I place my energy and financial support. What does being a Rotarian speak to my values? I don't know if Orson Welles was a Rotarian, but he summarizes being a Rotarian by saying, I prefer people who rock the boat to people who jump out. Sometimes I focus too much on my limitations, but then I remember what Cheryl Strayed once said: you don't have a right to the cards you believe you should have been dealt. You have an obligation to play the hell out of the ones you are holding. I want to continue to work in service as a Rotarian in our community through support for the houseless and internationally supporting clean water, improved sanitation, and disaster relief. I look forward to being in the company of actual Rotarians from our club. As we come out of the pandemic, I ask each of you to evaluate if you are playing the cards to your maximum potential, and to renew our pledge of service above self. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for those inspiring words. And if anyone out there would like to give the reflection at an upcoming meeting, please don't hesitate to reach out to Siobhan at the Rotary office and let them know when they can schedule you. Now I'd like to ask that all Rotarians who have invited a guest to raise their real or virtual hand, and Corinne will call on you to unmute and introduce them. Or if you're a visiting Rotarian who came on your own, please raise your hand and introduce yourself, or let us know of your presence via the chat box. Danielle, you have some guests, don't you?
You know, I had two guests and I don't see them yet. So when I do, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Corinne, any other newcomers?
I have one here, Ruth. I just wanted to share, we have Virginia Arthur, who is still technically a guest, although she just got her membership application in right before our June 30th deadline. So she receives also a free no initiation fee for now. So Virginia will soon be our newest Rotarian, but Virginia Archer is here and she is in her backyard right now and it looks amazing. So you can find her on your screen. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome, Virginia, and everyone who attended today's meeting. And now we're going to go into what's one of my favorite parts of the meeting, the breakout group. We'll all disappear and enter a virtual table talk. As always, please introduce yourselves to the others, and a minute or so before you come back to this main meeting, you'll get a visual heads up. If the conversation flows, you're more than free to chat about whatever you like. But if you need a suggestion for a topic, besides getting back to meeting in person, as Susan said, what do you look forward to the most in our upcoming Rotary year? Here we go. Welcome back. I hope you all had a good time catching up with each other. Today, of course, is our official changing of the guard and my final day as president of this amazing club. Throughout the program, we'll be welcoming in new board members and saying thanks to those who served their time, which is an odd phrase, who donated their service. We'll be passing on the Ken T. Bement Award to this year's recipient, as well as giving the second of what is now an annual award, the Jan Tesh Leadership Award. We'll be recognizing the committee chairs and all of the work those committees have accomplished this year with your support. And finally, I'll be passing the torch to the next president of Rotary Club of Portland. Now on to the Ken Bement Award. Each year, the president is asked to identify one person from the club who has exemplified service above self. This person often has gone above and beyond the expected and given much of their time to our club and the work we do. Last year, Rotarian Angel Pilato was awarded the Kenyon T. Bement Award. This year, I'd like to introduce Angel to announce our recipient. Angel?
Thank you so much, Ruth. It's been really an honor to have this award and the trophy in my home all year. It got a lot of comments, even though I didn't have a lot of visitors. This year, as she just said, the Ken Bement Award is presented annually to a member of the Rotary Club of Portland whose contributions to the club and the community have been in the spirit of the Rotary motto, service above self. I'm pleased and honored to present this award to our outstanding Rotarian for the year 2020-21. This person has been a Rotarian for more than 14 years, and during that time has served on the International Service, Homeless Solutions, Peace Builders, and membership committees. Her tireless efforts have been focused on international projects, which have meant a lot to her and have improved the health and welfare of women and children in India, Cambodia, and Papua New Guinea. This person is a nurse practitioner and a retired Navy captain. That's an equivalent to a full colonel in the Air Force. I had to add that. And if you haven't guessed who this is by now, it is Susan Green Cooksey, alias Titanium Susan, because she has had so many back surgeries with lots of steel added. Everybody give her a hand, please. I would like to review some of the things that she's done. After years of working with the Rotary Foundation, she finally cracked the code on how to navigate the world of global grant paperwork. This year, she finally made it happen. She pulled it off and received a global grant for a clean water and sanitation project for a rural school in Cambodia, which provided toilets and taught students hygiene habits. She gathered together all the pieces from Rotary International, including various clubs from around the world, got funding from our club and other Rotaries, and did all this while going through another back surgery. A few of her notable projects have been in India. She worked with several NGOs, one that provided bilingual education to children 5 through 18 of the lower caste poor, which helped them get employment later on. Another project taught older women how to make sanitary pads, which helped women get relief during their menstrual cycles and provide employment for the grandmothers. She led a team to Papua New Guinea several times to do health and care education and convince women of the value of having a pap smear to screen for cancer. Many of these women had never had a pap smear and were reluctant. She and her team worked patiently to convince them to have the procedure, and in doing so, saved many lives. As a side note, when she was traveling to Papua New Guinea, she transported 18 suitcases filled with medicine and supplies. When she checked in, she told the airlines what was in all these bags, and they graciously waived the extra baggage fees. Good work, Susan. The bugs, rain, mud, and heat never deterred her or her team from completing the mission. Susan sometimes has challenges with technology, but she has mastered Zoom, and when she attends a meeting, she continues to offer her signature humor with all those she interacts with in the breakout rooms. And I believe she's here today, is she not? Can we see Susan there? Congratulations, Susan, for your outstanding work. You truly are a Rotarian who embodies service above self. Thank you for giving generously of your time, talents, and treasures. And I have here for you the trophy. I think we can, it's pretty heavy. It's right here. And also I have something else here for you. Come here. I have your husband here today. Come here, Mark.
No, it's a guana boy, because I'm going to have to carry this all over the world. I know Susan, and for 50 years, I've known her giving and her ability to want to help others and make sure that, and she's done many, many things, and I can attest to this, even though I want to take credit for getting her in Rotary, because I tried for years to get her to join. I'm a Rotarian since 1981,
Yes.
but I'm not the, I couldn't quite get it done. So I called in the closer, Daniil.
Thank you, Mark, for being here. And he's going to take this home to Daniil along with what I read today for her. Congratulations again, Susan.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm honored and phenomenally surprised. Thank you. Mark, what are you doing at Angel's house?
Free lunch.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Susan.
Thank
So
you.
well deserved. And now I'd like to welcome Rotarian and past president Kate Ertman and the founder of the Jan Tesh Leadership Award to present to this year's recipient. Past President Kate.
Thank you, President Ruth. So the Jan Tesh Leadership Award is given annually to a club member who went above and beyond as a leader during the past year to their fellow Rotarians. The awardee has exemplified leadership in a way that may not have been expected nor even known to be needed. They look towards and consider the possibilities of the future as they imparted guidance, encouragement, and collaboration for the betterment of Rotary and its community. This award is in honor of the leadership of Jan Tesh, who in 1997 was the first woman to be elected president of Rotary Club of Portland. And last year, the inaugural recipient of this award was Darren Hahn for his efforts with Project 2020. Now, this year's recipient embodies the meaning of going above and beyond, and doing so in a way that has guided our club's actions into new territory. As a newer member, this Rotarian has jumped in headfirst into so many elements of what the club does, from marketing to membership development to Enterprise Academy to technical support at the district training conference, all while in a global pandemic and all while going through a major career shift of their own. On top of all that, they created and spearheaded a new week of service for our club, something that hopefully becomes a mainstay for the service work that we do. This Rotarian is such a huge new asset to Rotary and is truly, truly an inspiration. This year's recipient is Mari Bunnage. Mari, you're welcome to say a little something if you'd like, or you can pass if you want to.
Just thank you, and it's been such a pleasure having this community, especially now when we've all been isolated in our own ways. So it's been a real pleasure to get to know everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, and congratulations, Maury. So well deserved. And now on to our committee chair recognition. I'm so proud to say that our committees have been very busy and active. On the screen, you'll see a slideshow of all the committee chairs that have made such a huge difference during this unusual year. Now, while some of our committees were unable to function in this pandemic, others have continued on with their great work. And I'd like to share with you some of the highlights as reported by the committee chairs themselves. Our Toastmasters committee continued to meet every week, building community and stronger connections among members. We held a COVID-safe golf tournament. And the slides just obscured my script. There we go. We held a COVID-safe golf tournament rescheduled due to the wildfires and raised over $6,000 for our club. Our service committees managed to continue to serve the community with the exception of a few that were not able to function this year. For example, Enterprise Academy was unable to hold a camp this year, so instead they focused the year on preparing for an even better camp next year. They purchased new supplies and invested in DEI training for camp counselors and committee members. Community grants, domestic violence solutions, homeless solutions, peace builders, and international service were able to spend their entire budgets to help the communities that they serve. Wheels of Power shifted to phone interviews when in-person interviews were no longer an option, and were able to still get power chairs to vulnerable populations. International Service participated in 16 projects and engaged committee members in virtual happy hours to continue to have fun together this year. And overall, many of our committees spent this year refocusing, shifting priorities, honing in on processes and best practices, and taking a moment to consider the work we do and how we do it. A huge thank you, not only to all of the committee chairs, but also to all of you who serve on committees and continue to carry out the work of our club this year. Thank you for keeping our club relevant during COVID and for getting support to those who truly need it. You are what makes our club the great success that it is. And now we have a special presentation on the results of our club's Project 2020. Drew?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Little thumbs up. Great. I was having technical difficulties for the little breakout group, so I was never able to join that. Well, welcome to pictures and an overview of the Rotary Youth Center at Morrison, otherwise known also as Project 2020 for our club. I am so grateful, and you're going to hear a lot of reasons why. There are many, many people to thank, but it is our club, the Rotary Club of Portland, that started this all with picking, and you might hear a little bit of echo because it looks like my other device has come online. So that's good. But what you've got in front of you is, our kind of opening. And so I will ignore that for now. Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate it. I'm at the office and the location where the Rotary Youth Center actually is. So in our club, I want to highlight that Darren Hahn and Jana Cole really put this thing together as far as 3 years of fundraising, both at our club, as well as it gave those of us at Morrison the time to raise the monies. And we raised all the money needed for the completion of the Rotary Youth Center at Morrison. That is worth pausing, and that is worth applause. So I'm gonna add in at this point. Darren and Jenna really shepherded this, and then I'm joined today by Deanna Kavanaugh, the Director of Development and Planned Giving for Morrison, and she's going to have a portion of explaining some things when we get a little further into our slides. And she has been here through that entire fundraising portion of things. And miracle upon miracle, we were able to pull this off with the combination of the construction company that we mutually picked. And we opened our doors in 2020 for the kids. So I look forward to telling you more. So let's, in the next slide, you are going to see the kind of overview that we had 264 unique contributors, which included our Rotary Club of Portland and the Pearl Rotary Club, and then various foundations you'll see listed. And then we have a donor wall, really attractive plaque there on the right of your screen that has the Rotary wheel on the right and Morrison's pinwheel on the left. And it lists all of those that really partnered together to make this a reality. In our next slide, you will see the kind of finished fall version of how things looked from Sandy Boulevard. And you'll see our peace pole that we installed a couple years before, and we moved it to front and center right there for all to view, along with an amazing mural that you'll also see a little bit more about when Deanna tells you. And we have solar panels on the roof. So this is our front entrance right on Sandy Boulevard, Northeast Sandy Boulevard, and about 110th. The building has its own address, 11025 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. In the next slide, you'll begin to see the crew that was a part of the groundbreaking on Valentine's Day of 2020. Which was an extra special thing. And if you look closely, the shovel I have in the picture with all of us has little hearts on it. And I have it right next to me in my office. It was a very sweet set of moments. And there you also see the shot of Darren and Jana, where Darren is making some comments to the group that gathered at that time. In the next slide, you'll see just little snippets of some of the construction that was occurring. And there's a couple things I want to highlight. On the left side middle picture, you're seeing some wood that is reclaimed wood from a few trees that we needed to take down in order to build the Rotary Youth Center. And just so you know, because I'm a tree lover as well, the mutual agreement with the city in permitting is that we planted new trees to the same amount of the ones that we had to take down. And then on the left, the little bottom picture, we had, when we dedicated the Rotary Peace Pole several years before, the kids in one of the programs in the building made little art projects out of I guess, plaster of Paris. And so the construction foreman saw those and rescued them just in time and cleaned them up without being asked, all on his own. And in the cement structure that the peace pole now sits in, repositioned these in a more permanent way so they will last over time. A very sweet moment for us. And then in the next slide, you'll get kind of a little bit of a side view with our accessible ramp for access and accessible parking right up against the building. And again, this view, you see the peace pole on the left and our mural that Deanna will tell you a little bit more about. And to keep us going through some pictures, go to the next one. This is some inside pictures. We have, you'll see on the left, a warming kitchen so that we can hold events for the kids and the parents and the foster parents. You'll see this way cool gym floor, which is not your typical gym floor. It has some cushion to it and is incredibly durable. And you're looking out the back where we have these garage doors that open up so that on nice days, it's as if you're outside when you're inside, playing basketball, playing games, whatever we have going on for the youth. And a next picture, and we will have time for questions, so don't worry. Another view of looking. And then we have this wonderful storage room. We have 3 restrooms, including accessible restrooms. And so it's got all those bells and whistles, huge ceiling. Next slide gives you showing you the entrance from behind it. And go again. Another view, because the mural, as Deanna will explain, kind of starts on the outside and goes all the way through to the inside. That little white gap you see is so we can also show films, do presentations, and project things up on the wall. And in the next slide, you'll see on the right the grounds that are in the back of the Rotary Youth Center. And this was also a major feat. We weren't sure we were going to raise enough money in time to do the whole thing, but we were. So we have this lovely ground, and it was leveling the ground. It was a slanted shape before. So there is green space for the kids to play games, to just have outdoor time in the midst of therapy, meeting with parents, for foster parents and so forth. So keep going. And here, our infamous Dan Bramsky on the right from EMA Architects. And thank you again to Corey for his organization really giving birth to the idea of the Rotary Youth Center in the first place. But there's Dan up there as the both the solar panels completed, and we also have the eco roof that was just getting started, which was also an important part because we surpassed the goal of being energy net neutral, if you will, and we actually produce more energy than the building needs. So it is helping with the energy that is in the main Morrison building right next door. That is a phenomenal feat, and so many people helped in making this happen. So show me the next slide so I can make sure. Okay. This is where Deanna is going to jump in, and I'll pipe in after she's finished. Deanna, you are on.
Great. Thank you, Drew. I did want to take a moment and just really thank this entire club for this amazing gift, because as I was thinking back to all of the other supporters, without Rotary's gift, we wouldn't have been able to leverage our reputation the way we did to meet all of the goals. So that was, I just wanted to personally thank you as I was in the trenches on the fundraising. So with the mural, it is obviously one of the most visually striking components of this project. So I wanted to describe the process a little more to you. Some of you may know that as background, the city of Portland requires new construction along that part of Sandy to have windows on the street side. Due to youth privacy concerns and security, we were able to get the city to agree to a mural, which actually fit well with Historic Park Rose's needs or desires for the neighborhood. And Historic Park Rose is like the local neighborhood improvement group. And as Drew mentioned, Dan came up with the idea to have the mural continue from the front of the building and wrap around as a way to have visual continuity. And as the city was involved in our mural development, the final approval process fell under the Regional Arts and Culture Council, which many of you may know as RAC. So they wound up approving it in order to kind of keep the chain going. Interestingly, the mural itself was specifically funded by the Historic Park Rose organization, who awarded us a $25,000 street side improvement grant. So that was a really nice endorsement of what we were doing in the neighborhood. So I'm just backing up here. So after our committee, including Darren and Jana, we all got together and we came up with like what we were searching for with a mural. And we wound up reaching out to the Portland Street Art Alliance, which has been responsible for a lot of, you may have seen a lot of like grassroots type murals in the area. They gave us a roster, and we wound up picking Dominic Sigari, who is also known as Calm. And we chose him because his style is timeless, it's energetic, we thought the kids would like it, and it also fit a lot of the murals happening in the neighborhood. We wound up having Calm, this is what these images are, but we wound up having Calm work with the youth at our site, as they would be the ones in day treatment who'd be using the project the most often. Calm wound up doing a series of 4 educational sessions with our boys. In the first one, and you can see in particular these 3 images, he demonstrated his process, what inspires him and what his techniques are. And they're very fascinating. He does everything by hand, doesn't really measure anything out, which is very impressive. After doing that piece of the project, he then asked the boys to think about what inspires them, giving them a series of prompt words, and those words will be on the next slide. He then invited the boys to make drawings reflecting on those concepts. And he said he did wind up using those to inform his final design. So I'm gonna click ahead. Whoop, it's a little, there we go. So the words that he selected after talking with the boys were belonging, integrity, free expression, dreams, and respect. So the boys, they had I think 2 weeks to come up with their ideas. And this is examples of what they came back with. They were definitely inspired to draw geometric shapes. They talked a lot about how important natural forms are to them. There's a lot of talk about loving purples, oranges, and blues. And then of note, one boy specifically said that he thinks of outer space all the time. It's something he ruminates on. So Dominic or Calm decided to use a space image. So it's kind of like a galactic background with stars underneath everything else pattern wise.
Deanna?
Yes.
I have gotten the little high sign that we are running out of time.
All right. Well, then I'm going to wrap it up because I think I hit everything.
All
So
right.
thank you.
I'm going to give you just a couple quick quotes from the kids. I never have to worry about getting the ball back from over the fence. We don't have to cancel being physically active when the weather gets nasty. Tell the people who made this possible that we really appreciate it. So I'll wrap us up with that comment. It is used every day of the week. Foster parents are using it as a way to bring kids together. They've had some wonderful water balloon tossing events recently to beat the heat. We did not have them out in the excessive heat this weekend, but the couple of days prior. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a really successful project. And Maria and Maggie reached out, and we're going to kind of coordinate together, Deanna and I, with Maggie and Maria, for having an event as soon as we finish understanding the governor's implications that go into effect tomorrow for those of us in congregate care facilities. So just be on the lookout for an eventual event where you can come out and actually see it, and we can do it in a way that meets all of our regulations for safety. Thank you so much.
Drew, Deanna, those photographs just bring it all to life. Thank you for your leadership and the extra fundraising that went into it. We can be so proud of Project 2020. And now, Gary Johnson and I would like to recognize each of the outgoing board members for the club and the trust boards. For the club board, we thank Charlie T., Leslie Brunker, and you, Drew Henry McWilliams.
And for the trust board, AJ Barnett, Grant Thurston, and Patrick Galvin.
I'd like to thank each of you for your years of service as leaders of our club. I greatly appreciate the time you gave, your thoughtful input to our many discussions over the course of your time on the club board.
And I'd like to reiterate that for those of you on the trust board. It was a pleasure to serve with you, and I really appreciate the time that you gave us.
And now please also welcome our incoming club board officers. Reed Miller is our incoming president. Maria Schell is our incoming vice president. And Terry Goldman is our incoming president-elect nominee. And our new club board members include Blake St. Ange, Patsy Freeman, and Curtis Shirey.
And our incoming trust board officers are Maggie Bolger as the incoming president and Brian Daisy as the incoming vice president.
You will all serve the Rotary Club of Portland in important leadership positions. Our club members hold you in high esteem. and we have confidence that each of you will represent us well. Thank you for agreeing to serve on our senior leadership team and for being willing to uphold the high traditions of our club and trust. Now, since we're in a different environment than we would normally be in to conduct the following oath, I ask that all incoming officers stay on mute, but please raise your hand for the oath for incoming officers, directors, and trustees. Please say along with me, I, and insert your name, do solemnly pledge that I will fulfill the responsibilities and duties of my office to the best of my ability and will abide by our club's and trust's constitution and bylaws. I so wish that we could have heard each of you, but I, Ruth Shelley, current president of the Rotary Club of Portland, declare the new officers and directors installed. Let's give them all a round of applause and thanks. And now, past President Kate.
Thank you, President Ruth. So last year, I spent the final 3 months of my club presidency navigating the onset of a global pandemic. But President Ruth, well, she got to have that experience all year. Now, taking on leadership of any sort, it's a choice, but leadership in a volunteer capacity, it's a really big choice that requires not only specific capabilities, but also requires a ton of heart behind every suggestion and decision that needs to be made. We all respect President Ruth so much, so we wanted to honor her request that today's Changing of the Guard meeting, that it focuses on our club's work this year in healing, recovery, and peace building. And I know that I can speak for everyone in our club to just say that we are grateful, President Ruth, for what you gave to our club this year, what you may have sacrificed in order to keep us going, and we're thankful that we got to have a leader this year that grounded us in the tenets of what being a Rotarian is, because you truly led by example. Thank you, President Ruth. Now back to you.
Thank you, past President Kate. And I'm glad you didn't make it embarrassing. My fellow Rotarians, it has been a hard year. I know you join me in thinking of the many lives lost during the pandemic. You, your family, or friends may have been impacted personally by COVID-19. All of our lives have been disrupted, including the life of our club. This has been a hard year for me personally. When I think back to the start of my term last July, I was in Portland trying to run COVID-safe summer camps at the Children's Museum. When camps ended, my husband Kevin and I moved temporarily, we thought, to our place on the coast so that I could work remotely. Well, that worked fine until September, when we were evacuated by the fires. Fortunately, our home was spared, but our neighbors weren't so lucky. Later in the fall, even our dogs died after 25 combined years of companionship. Well, in December, I made the difficult decision to retire. We sold our Portland house and moved permanently to Devil's Lake outside of Lincoln City. In spring, however, the board of Portland Children's Museum made the even harder decision to dissolve the organization, with very good reasons for doing so, but it was still very painful. And it was a year of being president of Rotary Club of Portland. Despite all that, I kept showing up for Rotary. Now, let me rephrase that. Because of all that, I kept showing up for Rotary. All but 3 meetings, I think. One because my internet failed. Whether you knew it or not, I needed to see your smiling faces. I needed your fellowship. I needed to be reminded of the 4-way test and service above self. Thank you for that gift. And my sincere thanks to our staff, Corinne and Siobhan. I could not have survived without you. You may have forgotten that Corinne had a lovely baby this past year, but she prepared well for maternity leave, and Siobhan wore many hats in her absence. I am grateful to you both. And I'm also grateful to our dedicated leadership team, the club board members, and the trust board members. along with all the committee chairs. Despite COVID setbacks, you persevered and worked even harder to keep our club not only surviving, but also thriving during the pandemic. So how did we do? We opened those 3 doors of opportunity. Door number 1, for healing during the pandemic, you just saw how we completed Project 2020's Rotary Youth Center at Morrison. Thank you again to everyone who gave so generously to this remarkable project. As Drew mentioned, there will be a long delayed donor recognition event at Morrison in late summer, and it will feel so good to celebrate. And as you saw in the previous slides, we continued a lot of successful ongoing committee work despite virtual constraints. My favorite notable was approval of the global grant by Rotary International for a water project in Cambodia. Congratulations again to everyone who worked on that effort, especially you, Susan. Door number 2, for recovery during the pandemic. We successfully held 48, count them, 48 online Tuesday member meetings, averaging 41 participants each week, and with an additional 20 people on average who viewed the video later. Thank you for showing up and learning the challenges of Zoom. We successfully moved our club offices to central office for considerable cost savings. Thanks to Maria and the membership committee, we completed year 1 of our 3-year membership strategy, which streamlined member onboarding. And last week, we passed a new 2021-22 budget that reduces dues and staffing costs and eliminates our club's reliance on the meal plan to make ends meet. You'll hear more on that later. And finally, door number 3, to advance peace building. The leadership team carefully considered and posted a statement about racial justice on our website. But we went beyond that statement and formed a DEI task force. Thank you, Amy Jeffers, for leading it, which laid a foundation of diversity, equity, and inclusion for our year to come. And thanks to the board and additional members of a planning committee, a roadmap is now laid out in the 2021-22 Bridge Plan, which will guide our club through major transitions of the coming year. What are those transitions? There are 5, at least 5. First, we're going to reduce our staff to be more cost efficient. In summer, we'll say goodbye and thank you to Corinne and Siobhan and hire a new administrative manager supported by permanent volunteer positions. These volunteer positions include a database support volunteer, human resources volunteer, spokes volunteer, and Tuesday volunteer coordinator. So think about whether you might like to step up in this opportunity for service above self. Second, and long awaited, under Reed's leadership, we'll move from virtual meetings to in-person meetings, but keep offering meetings online for members who can't or prefer not to attend in person. Third, we'll also transition from our current membership initiation fee, dues, and meal plan structure to one that aligns with new COVID food service and is more affordable. Fourth, and already underway, we'll transition from operating out of the former office space to operating out of central office. And we'll work out relocating the board and committee meetings as well. Finally, and most important, this time next year, we'll be adopting a new strategic plan to begin in July 2022 and take us through 2025. Now, all that we do in this coming year will be through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. Now, while DEI is a current buzzword, we're serious. Everything about these transitions aligns with and supports the 4-way test. We want to be sure that we're authentically inclusive and welcoming as a club. We want to continuously identify and remove barriers that prevent a more diverse membership, because a diverse membership builds a strong and sustainable club. Now, one of those barriers has been the cost of our initiation fees and dues, which is why we reduced them. Another barrier is not being able to get downtown for lunch, which is why we'll continue our Zoom meetings even as we gather again in person. We'll continue to increase diverse representation in every aspect of our club membership and activities, whether that's in our selection of speakers, planning our social events, or engaging in service projects. In closing, I must say goodbye, not only as your president, but also, sadly, as a member of this club. As I mentioned, my husband and I have moved permanently to the coast, and it's just not practical for me to drive 2 hours in and 2 hours back for a meeting. I will miss you all. But this past year has been an honor and a privilege. And I think every departing president wishes they had been able to do more. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. I leave this club in Reed's capable hands on an upward trajectory and wish you all goodwill and better friendships for many years to come. And please keep showing up for Rotary. It's worth it. Thank you. And now I'd like to ask our Vice President to unmute himself and raise his hand for his oath. Reed, are you ready?
I think so.
Do you, Reed Miller, as President of the Rotary Club of Portland, solemnly pledge that you will faithfully execute the office of President of Rotary Club of Portland, and that you will, to the best of your ability, support our district governor, Rotary District 5100, Rotary International, and the Rotary Foundation, and that you will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of this club?
I do.
Fellow Rotarians, please welcome our new president of Rotary Club of Portland, President Reed Miller. Congratulations, Reed.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, what an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to serve for our club and our club's impressive members. As Augustine once famously said, this is the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Not only that, but we are the parent club to the greatest Toastmasters club in the world. I couldn't be more proud to be a member of this club and now to be able to continue serving in this leadership position. My dad's been a Rotarian for as long as I can remember. My mom recently became a member of the Three Creeks Rotary Club. So I grew up going on ski vacations with other fellow Rotarians. I didn't realize it at the time, but I've been groomed to serve in this club for a long time. I can remember being no older than maybe 12 years old and learning to take Bob Durnetti's money at the poker table. May not have been the most traditional grooming, but being surrounded by past presidents of our club at a young age really helped to shape me into who I am today. I have Rotary in my blood, and I look forward to passing the four-way test on to my 10-month-old son, Warren, who I hope you'll get the chance to meet later this year. For those of you that are still getting to know me, my wife and I snuck out a baby during the pandemic. I apologize if you get sick of hearing about him, but it's kind of a big part of my life. Speaking of which, I would have never been able to pull this off without my incredible wife and the support that she provides. She keeps me grounded and keeps me pointed in the right direction. Okay, enough about me and my past. Today is all about our club and the amazing work that we have accomplished, the direction that we are headed, and what we hope to accomplish next year and in the years to follow. President Ruth did a phenomenal job of outlining what was accomplished in the last year, and I'd like to take you through some of my visions for next year and the years to come. First, I'd like to say thank you to Ruth for all the hard work that she has put in. She left me with a roadmap and all the tools for success. She's been available to me as a resource, and I'm deeply grateful to be able to follow in her footsteps. So thank you, Ruth. While we're here, I want to extend a thank you to Corinne and Siobhan. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. I'm fortunate enough to have been able to have Corinne and Siobhan to balance out my weaknesses. I've been leaning on Corinne for help since I came up through the U40 program and then chaired the program committee. Corinne and Siobhan have always had the answers and are always happy to help. So I thank you very much for everything that you've done thus far and continue to do. So that brings me to where we're headed as a club. As Ruth mentioned, we will soon be saying goodbye to Corinne and Siobhan, moving to a new office, restructuring reinitiation fees, dues, and the meal plan. COVID is pushing a transition away from the buffet style lunches. It's also taught us all how to use Zoom so that we can meet remotely. Meeting via Zoom was never ideal for our club, but it was a necessity for the time that we were in. Now we are getting closer and closer to a new time, a time when we could shake hands again. I understand how important that is to our club. Part of what makes our club so special is the community and the camaraderie that our club has. And not all clubs are as tight-knit as ours. So it has to be a huge priority to get our luncheons back to in-person meetings. It's my first priority, and things are currently looking very promising to do so in the first quarter. In the meantime, I'm sick of waiting for the go-ahead. For that reason, I decided that I want to make my first program as president an in-person picnic at Washington Park. It's not the most traditional first program, but it'll get us back to face-to-face interaction, which I know our members value and have missed so dearly. That's right, next week, please join us at Washington Park for my first program as president. Bring your own lunch and socialize with fellow members. 12 o'clock on Tuesday, Washington Park. I will see you there. Let's bring the community back, get the Rotary juices flowing, and kick the year off right. A big part of what Rotary is the community and the camaraderie. And with that said, Rotary means something different to everybody. That will be my overarching focus for the year. I want to focus on the identity of our club. Lots changed over the last 100 years. Our club looks very different than it did back then. Our club looks very different than it did 10 years ago. Of course, change is essential. But I think it's very important not to forget where we came from and not to lose sight of what got us to where we are. Our club is no longer all white-haired, but we aren't all millennials either. It's not just age. Our club is beginning to be a better representation of our community all the time, which is awesome. I want to make sure that our members that joined 40 years ago are still getting what they want from our club, while also acknowledging that we've come a long way and we need to continue to adapt to the times. I want to bring our new members a better understanding of who we are as a club, as well as how our club operates. I'd like to have a program focusing on the structure of our club. What is the role of our leadership team? What is the role of our board of directors? What is the role of our trust board of directors? What is the role of our district and Rotary International? How do members get on the board of directors or a path towards leadership? I know this isn't a new concept, but a lot's changed. And we've had a lot of turnover in our club, and it's important that everybody understands how the sausage is made. I'd like to have a committee fair for one of our programs so that everybody can get a better grasp of what all the committees do and if they might be interested in one that they might not be as familiar with. Again, not a new concept, but our club's changed a lot. It's important to educate our new members and remind some of our older members. Some of them, like my father, are getting forgetful. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Great buzzwords. We all hear them regularly these days, but over the last few years, we've had a major focus in this arena, and I plan to continue that, as I see it as very important as a Rotarian to treat everybody equally and to provide equal opportunities. But besides that, it's important for the health of our club. As Ruth said, it'll build a strong club. And if we want to be a strong club, we need to be a diverse club. Lastly, beyond our club, it was recently brought to my attention that our district is here to serve us. Our new district governor, Jim Boyle, has reached out and asked what the district can do for our club. Last year, I had the idea for the week of service. Seems obvious, as Rotarians, we serve. Spending a week dedicated to making a real-life impact in our community seemed like a no-brainer. It's great that it caught on with our club. Mari has run with the idea and brought it to fruition. Thank you so much, Mari. You've put in a ton of work on that and made it what it is today, and I really appreciate all your efforts. But we're only one club. I think a week of service has so much more potential. It's something that all Rotarians should participate in. Really, it's something that everybody around the world should participate in. I'd like to bring the week of service to the district level with the goal of eventually taking it international. Nothing would make me happier than watching a Blazers playoff game, start with that, and they cut to commercial break, then the commercial is for Rotary's week of service. I think it should be an annual holiday that is celebrated like Christmas or any other holiday. Big dreams, I know. Maybe it takes 10 years to get there, but I don't think it's unrealistic at all. I'm going to start by taking our week of service district-wide, and then we'll take it to the next level. As president, it's important to have goals so that we can move our club forward and continue to be the service club that we all chose to be a part of. We all chose this club for different reasons, and it's important to me to continue to provide that value to each of you. You are the ones that are out there making things happen in our community. If I accomplish one thing this year, I want to empower our members to be able to make a difference. I want each of you to be reminded why you love this club so much. I love this Rotary Club. I thank you all for the opportunity, and I look forward to serving beside each of you. Thank you so much. Ruth, President Ruth, I hand it back to you.
No, it's your honor to adjourn this meeting, although if you want, I can ring the bell.
I would love it if you could help me with the bell. I apologize, we ran just a hair late today. I won't ever let it happen again on purpose. This Rotary meeting is adjourned. Thank you.